Good morning. You are tuning in to the Stylo News Intelligence Update Explainer. I'm here to bring you a calm, purely factual look at the latest developments in Europe, specifically the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Today is the 11th of May, 2026, and our briefing is titled, Ukraine War Briefing, Russia Warns Kyiv as Long-Range Attacks Expand. We're going to stick straight to the facts today, cutting through the noise to give you an objective view of the reality on the ground and the shifting political landscape behind the scenes. This morning's briefing is brought to you by ProWave AI. They're the developers behind the Stylo Intel Ops platform, which is a highly advanced AI-powered open-source intelligence program. They also run Stylo News, the commercial version you can access right now on the web or through their mobile apps. Let's take a quick look at our agenda for today. We'll start with a global overview, then examine strategic patterns and the map. We'll follow that up with a multi-level impact analysis, gauge leaders and public sentiment, outline future indicators to watch, and finally show you how to subscribe to Stylo News. Moving right into Section 1, our welcome and global overview, setting the stage for where we stand today. Looking back over the last couple of weeks, the situation has shifted rapidly. In late April, we saw diplomatic channels effectively stall out completely. Then, on May 1st, a massive drone assault hit Ukrainian infrastructure. By May 5th and 6th, there were fragile hopes for a Victory Day ceasefire. But as we saw between the 6th and 8th, that proposed ceasefire failed, and it was quickly replaced by renewed, severe kinetic strikes. That brings us to Section 2, Strategic Patterns and the Map, highlighting this intense kinetic action versus stalled diplomacy. Based on the tactical maps we've generated from recent intelligence, we are seeing a significantly widening scope of military engagements. We're tracking heavy drone strikes across major central and eastern regions, including Dnipro, Kharkiv, and Mykolaiv. Notably, the conflict zone has now stretched all the way down to the Odessa port approaches near the Black Sea. Now, there's one specific number that really defines this latest escalation, and that's 400. On May 1st, Russian forces launched a large-scale offensive involving over 400 drones. Intelligence indicates about 200 of those were Shahed models aimed directly at urban centers and infrastructure. While Ukrainian air defenses reported intercepting the vast majority of them, the strikes still caused notable damage across several regions. But as the military action intensifies, the diplomacy remains completely frozen. Our intelligence assessments confirm there is currently no meaningful convergence between Moscow and Kyiv. Neither side is moving toward a durable peace agreement right now. Let's look at what this means in Section 3, our multi-level impact analysis, covering local, national, and international effects. Breaking down these impacts, we see a clear ripple effect. Locally, there's a high risk to civilians and direct infrastructure damage, such as the recent residential fires in Odessa. Nationally, Ukraine is scrambling to boost air defenses, while the U.S. has notably cut military aid funding for 2027. And internationally, the stakes are rising with airspace violations in Romania and Russia becoming deeply reliant on Chinese technology. Let's look a bit closer at that national funding shift. A major development we're tracking is the U.S. Pentagon's decision to exclude Ukraine's Security Assistance Initiative funding from its 2027 budget. The strategic goal here is to push European allies to shoulder more of the financial and logistical burden for Ukraine's defense. It's a significant pivot across the Atlantic. On the other side of the conflict, Western sanctions have forced Russia into a major strategic pivot of its own. The data clearly shows Russia is now 90% reliant on China for its sanctioned technology imports. It's a heavy dependency that fundamentally shifts the geopolitical landscape and complicates how the West enforces its sanctions. Moving to Section 4, Leaders and Public Sentiment. It's crucial to understand the decision-maker perspectives driving these events. Taking a look at Kyiv's perspective, President Volodymyr Zelensky's focus is squarely on defense and force generation. Following that massive drone attack, he stated a very clear priority: to, quote, enhance protection for key cities like Dnipro and Odessa by deploying additional radars, electronic warfare capabilities, and personnel. When we compare the broader strategic moves of other key actors, a clear contrast emerges. While the U.S. Pentagon is encouraging Europe to step up financially, the Russian government is actively trying to break its own economic isolation. They're pursuing import substitution and, quite interestingly, expanding ties with India's Islamic world. That includes a scheduled Economic Commission meeting with Afghanistan in Kazan to discuss trade and logistics. But what about the public? Monitoring open-source social media sentiment, we're seeing some distinct trends. There is a broad, undeniable war fatigue setting in. people did temporarily support a negotiated pause around Victory Day, but now there's high skepticism regarding diplomatic intent. The prevailing sentiment across platforms is that sustained military pressure is the only real path to genuine peace. Section 5. Future Indicators to Watch. Let's discuss what to expect next based on these patterns. Based on our intelligence estimates, you shouldn't expect any sweeping peace deals anytime soon. Instead, watch for limited transactional outcomes. We're talking about very narrow, localized agreements, like the prisoner of war exchanges currently being discussed by officials in Miami. Also, expect these long-range strike violations to continue from both sides. And with that comes a very real risk of regional friction along allied borders. We saw a stark preview of this recently when Romanian F-16 jets had to be scrambled after a drone briefly violated their national airspace during a port attack. Which leads us to the critical question we all need to monitor moving forward. As American financial strategy shifts away from direct USAI funding, will European allies step in? Observers must watch carefully to see if Europe can successfully fill the financial and logistical void required to keep Ukraine's defense sustained. That brings us to Section 6, subscribe to Stylo News, and our next steps. This wraps up our Morning Intelligence Explainer. If you'd like to dive deeper into this 2-week analysis, make sure to listen to the full Stylo News Intel Update Morning podcast on your favorite channel, or just follow the link provided right here in this post. And for continuous AI-powered news on demand, head over to stylonews.com. Thank you for tuning in this morning for this objective look at the facts. As the theater of war expands and global alliances are put to the ultimate test, we have to ask, will Western resolve hold firm, or are we watching the dawn of a deeply fractured new world order? Stay informed, stay vigilant, and have a good day.